Good evening, everybody. It's the Denver Bronco Roundup. Appreciate everyone that's tuning in. Of course, this is day 2 training camp. I'm down here, made the 800-mile trek, but hey, I got my buddies with me here right now. We got the Dutchie, Albert. We got Jody, the Judge Moncrief. We're ready to bring it to you live here tonight, recapping a little day 2 of training camp, getting through all your questions and comments. Of course, we're brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network and Willow Seasonings and Blends. How are you guys doing this evening? How are you, Albert?
I'm doing great. A little tired. Busy day today, cleaning and hanging up memorabilia. But other than that, wonderful.
Fantastic, man. Yeah, wake up. It's time to. It's Broncos time, man. It's training camp, man. I know it's a long day out there in the rig, man, getting her all cleaned up. If you guys don't know Dutchie, he does it with a fine tooth comb. He fluffs up all his carpet and he makes sure that he gets his laser level out, that it's all like set perfect. So, man, he spends the time. His rig's looking beautiful, but he's here for you guys still tonight. And also, the judge, Jody Moncrief here, pulling double duty. Just got off of baseball talk, but he's over here talking Broncos talk with us now. Judge, how you doing?
Doing great. Fired up. Love this time of the year.
Absolutely love this time of the year. Got to get to a few comments. We got David Slade coming in saying, "What's up, fellas?" Not much, buddy. Just loving that day 2 of training camp. Got a little bit of sun out there and got to see a lot going on and loving it. So also got the amazing Michael Ronquillo coming in here. Michael Ronquillo saying, "Good evening, Keith, Jody, and Albert." Good evening to you, Michael. Fantastic to see you. Glad that you're in here and love to have all your comments and questions. And Eddie, who I need to get back to, jumping in here as Facebook user. Eddie Keating jumping in here. He hit me up on Messenger. I'm going to get back to you, Eddie. He's saying, "What's up, guys? What's up with you, Eddie?" I understand you're hitting some training camp pretty soon here in the future. Maybe we'll be able to run across each other as we enter Dove Valley and take in the Denver Broncos. So, good evening to everybody. Appreciate you guys jumping in here early. Jody, Albert, I hung out with Jody just yesterday, so I think I'll turn this over to Albert first. Albert, we got how you're doing, but man, what has got your attention here in training camp, and any questions you may have too, buddy?
I heard that PS2 had a really good day, and that Jerry Judy looks like to be the wide receiver number 1, from what I have seen, and that our secondary is going to be on fire.
I would agree. Defense is definitely showing out early here in training camp. Officially, I guess it would be day 4, day 2, as far as we've been able to see as the public and the media as well. So, but yeah, Judy has definitely turned some heads. I would say you can definitely expect him to have a major role in this offense, and that's something that's shown out. It's been prevalent. So, Jody, what's been catching your eye? What questions you have? And of course, any of you out there that are tuning in out there, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, questions away, bring them on in, buddy. I appreciate it, everyone out there, buddies, whether you be guy or gal. So,
Just some stuff I've read. Russell Wilson. It sounded like he had a decent day today. Not perfect, but it's only day 4, like you said. New offense. Got to remember this is his fourth offensive scheme in 4 years. But he's picking it up fast. Sounds like he's getting the ball out quick. And that's great to hear. Sounds like moving up in the pocket, not a lot of drifting. That's huge. And like Albert said, it sounds like this secondary is who everyone has said is the strength of this team is really been balling out the first couple days.
yeah, I'm going to tease everyone that's watching. I talked to DAMARRI MATHIS at camp today, and we spoke for just a brief moment. But I think we exchanged some comments that everyone will like to hear. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to leave that as the teaser. I'll get to that in a little bit. Um, I want to get to Michael Ronquillo. He's jumping in here, and he says, Nik Bonitto. Nik Bonitto is on a list of guys that look different this year for me. Going back-to-back years and seeing these guys and seeing how they transform, some of them, not all of them, some of them transform, he's on the short list. Everyone knows about Russell Wilson. It's obvious, it's evident. He's trimmer, he's faster, he's leaner. Boy, he's got some twitch in him now that we didn't see last year. We know he's on that list. Nik Bonitto is also on this list. I had a good look at Nik Bonitto today, not just the quote-unquote sack that he may have had during training camp, but just in general. And that guy's put on quite a bit in the lower half, I would say. He's looking like he can anchor like he hasn't before. Now we'll have to see Monday, as Eddie's jumping in here and saying he'll be at camp Monday. If you're out there Monday, I'll be out there as well, and we'll be able to maybe see a little bit more as pads come on. Another guy that I think is going to be key that looks different this year, Lloyd Cushenberry. Lloyd Cushenberry looks like a different guy. So those are three guys right off the top that I can tell you look different. Fortunately, we lost Jody. I'm sure we'll jump him back in here. But of those three, Albert, which of those three excite you the most as far as looking different and maybe making that jump here in 2023 from maybe the performance they had in 2022? Because all three of those guys, I think, could use improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. Russell Wilson definitely needs to have a big jump. But Quinn Minus, right now, I think he is the weakest link in the whole offensive line. So I think if he improves a lot, that would be a big benefit to Russell Wilson, and therefore Russell Wilson will improve a lot.
And you're speaking Lloyd Cushenberry. My audio is not as good on your side, right, bud? Okay,
yes.
Very good, man. Just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. Yeah, I agree. Lloyd Cushenberry could be one of the huge, it could be a huge benefit to the Broncos if Lloyd Cushenberry can make that jump. Jody, I kind of threw this at Albert. Of those three people that I listed, Russell Wilson, Nik Bonitto, Lloyd Cushenberry, if they make a significant change from their 2022 season coming into 2023, which of those three is most important?
For me, it's Russell Wilson. He really is the make or break for the season. Just going off of what I heard and some different things, Jared Stidham has not looked all that great. So he also, a lot of people have been saying he's closer to Ben DiNucci than Wilson. So, but it's Wilson. I mean, he was brought here for a reason. So.
100%. I mean, I know that's kind of a loaded question. Obviously, you want your quarterback to be performing at the top level. But, hey, Nik Bonitto was a pick that we drafted fairly high. We need to see a return on. Lloyd Cushenberry, as Albert alluded to right before you jump back on, has been named the weakest link of our offensive line. And we need to see him turn the page and step up. So I think it's legitimate to ask that question, which of these three really need. With Baron Browning out right now, Nik Bonitto needs to fill a role, so it would be definitely nice to see him step up in that way. I wouldn't disagree with either one of your guys' answers, though. I want to get to Eddie. He's kind of blowing up our message board tonight, bud, and I appreciate it. He says people are freaking out the Bulls got beat by Bonitto. He says, I ain't worried. Today was his first day back, and I'm pretty sure that was his first play. He will be fine. I think it was his first or second play on 11-on-11 drills, knocking off a little bit of rust. But it was good to see him back out there. He doesn't. Another guy I spoke to told him it was good to see him back, and that recovery was looking good. So, Garrett's going to be a key piece. I've brought that up before. So a lot of people have kind of forgotten about him. A lot of focus is on Lloyd Cushenberry as far as the weak link. A lot of focus is on Mike McGlinchey and Ben Powers as they're taking the field, and we gave him the big contract. Don't forget about Garrett Bowles because he definitely needs to step up. So needs to fill that void as well. Can't be the weak link if especially if Cushenberry steps up. So
I have a
Yeah.
name that's been getting a lot of buzz. Jonathan Cooper. What are your thoughts on him?
Jonathan Cooper has been fantastic. Now Agent Zero, right?
Yeah.
Jonathan Cooper. So he's been impressive. He's been showing out quite well, and honestly, been getting more of the snaps than we've seen from Nik Bonitto. Nik Bonitto really got to show out for the first time today. Was trying to keep track, but they were definitely shuffling rotations today. Wasn't just always ones with ones, especially on the 7-on-7. They were shuffling a lot of guys in and out of lineups and getting a lot of people opportunities. I guess is the best way to put it. Got to see what these guys are capable of, and so yeah, Jonathan Cooper, one of those guys that really showed up good yesterday. Had a good day today, but maybe took a little bit of a back seat as we did see guys like Nik Bonitto maybe get pushed to the forefront a little bit more. So
You heard something about from Justin Simmons too about Caden Stearns. He is thrilled with Caden Stearns.
no reason he shouldn't be thrilled with Caden Stearns. He was lined up all day yesterday next to Justin Simmons as Kareem Jackson had his kind of his vet day and played fantastic. Obviously, was part of that interception that came late in the day. Made a fantastic play on the ball as Justin Simmons was able to tip it and get it a little bit closer to the sideline, and Caden Stearns laid out towards that sideline, secured it, and rolled underneath that ball, jumped up, and took off down the field. Obviously, to the delight of all the defense and even the fans at that point. So, a lot of excitement, but. Yeah, Stearns has looked good. He played with the second team along PJ Locke today, and those guys didn't miss a beat. I mean, again, it's 11-on-11. They're not getting pressed a whole lot. As a lot of people have spoken about, there's a lot of focus on the running game, so the passes aren't as heavy or as prevalent as what we've seen maybe in last year, as an example. So those opportunities come fewer and far between, but the defenses look fantastic. I will say, and we talked about a little bit off air, we saw improvement on the offense, and we saw Russell improve in the offense from day one to day two. It's not massive, but I like what Russell Wilson has said in the past and said yesterday. It's all about stacking those days. You could actually see that happening.
And how's my favorite doing, Quinn Miners?
Quinn Miners, the belly, the belly is out. I'm telling you, man. I don't know how he gets that thing to grow, but I swear it's as big as it's ever been. And that interior line has looked really good. Even I even would say that Cam Fleming, I think had a better day today than he had yesterday. He was having a rough day. You got Randy Gregory on one side, you got Frank Clark on the other side. Both those guys are healthy and looking good. And if you have a healthy Randy Gregory and you have a healthy Frank Clark, that's not an easy duo to go up against ever. So offensive line, those tackles, they have their work cut out right now.
Which is really good for their training.
It is. Always want to go up against the best, man.
And I heard a press conference from Frank Clark today. What did you think of that?
We should get to Jody. Jody, since we had a little bit of quietness, Jody, what was your impression of Frank Clark and his? Did you catch his post game or post practice?
Again, he said nothing that wasn't true. You haven't beaten him in since 2016. You haven't beaten him since 2015. So is it really a rivalry when it's one-sided like that? I mean, sure, he's on Denver's side now, but he's being real.
Speaking some truth. Yeah,
Don't like it? Beat Kansas City. Really?
Yeah. If you don't like us, shut us up. That's always been the saying, right? So, I actually, it's funny. I had to look it up just to make sure. I looked at the definition of rival just to make sure. A person who is competing for the same object or goal as another who tries to equal or outdo another. Competitor. A person or thing that is in position to dispute another's preeminence or superiority. We're not there yet, guys.
No.
And that's exactly what Frank Clark pointed out. We're not in position to rival their superiority that they have in the AFC West. We're stacking days, though, guys. We're stacking days, and it's looking good. So,
But
Albert,
but
your thoughts?
but his mindset that every year is a brand new season and a brand new motivation and brand new mentality. The team you had last year is no longer there anymore.
Yep.
Just one player might have switched. I really enjoyed that concept and the idea.
I talked a little bit about to Jody last night about maybe Russell Wilson slipping in a press conference and really letting us know his true feelings. We've had guys like Sean Payton who will let us know his true feelings. We've obviously had Frank Clark that'll let us know his true feelings. One piece that I caught in Frank Clark's, his little interview that he had, and I just want to get your guys' impressions. And obviously I'll be paraphrasing, but he said something to the fact that when he was asked, where is Russell Wilson? Do you think Russell Wilson basically still has it? It's always tough to hear. I wish they'd improve the audio for the questions on these press conferences. But he said Russell still has it mentally, and that's important. He goes, not everybody, as they age will have it physically. But then he kind of stopped himself and he said, not that Russell Wilson has lost anything physically. But I thought it was kind of somewhat telling that that's the first place he went, is that he's there mentally, and as we age, we don't always have everything that we used to have physically. Do you expect that Russell Wilson is starting to get over that crest and start coming down the other side just a tad bit? Jody, you're the Russ lover here. I know that, or I should say, you're the guy who's going to stick up for Russ as he's been on getting all the flack. You've been consistent in that way. So, what are your thoughts on that? Is he crested? Is he coming down the other side a little bit?
I'll be real with this answer. I need to see it this year to give you a good answer. Now that he's back in shape, done everything he can to get his body right, is 100% healthy. Do we see balls come up short? Do we see him when he takes off to run it slow? Then yeah, I will admit that then maybe he is on the downhill side. But the first time he takes off and looks like Russ from 4 or 5 years ago, or launches a moonshot 50 yards and it drops it in the bucket, then I will say no. But I need to see that. I cannot base it off of last year, overweight Russ, and all the factors from last year.
That's fair, man. Reserving judgment until we get to see a little bit of what we expect in 2023.
And against other players, because the video that was put out at CU, he looked like Russ from 10 years ago, moving around, throwing it. But I need to see it against 11, a defense, the defense that's coming at him. So
that's fair enough, man. Albert, your thoughts? Has he crested? Is he coming down the other side? I think he's 34, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
He just had a lesser year last year. I think we can have a Russian again that we saw when he got the Super Bowl. I think we can see him again, and I believe that. And I really hope that all the naysayers going to have to eat a lot of crow.
Yeah, never had to eat crow. I was asked about some other delicacies on the K&K show at one point, but no crow as of yet. So
I've,
I don't know what it tastes like, but there might be a few people that need to eat up, I guess, is the best way to put it.
ju-
Want to get caught
just
up on a couple of comments, and this is another guy on another list, I guess you could say. Eddie's coming in and saying Williams being out there and cleared to be out there is a freaking god. There, he's a freaking god. Yeah.
Did they report that he was cleared for contact too? Didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah, he's out there fully as
He's
far as I'm aware. So certainly doesn't look like anybody's letting up on him. I can tell you that. So actually, and I know there was a lot of talk about. And I'm trying to recall the name, our fullback right now off the top of my head.
Michael Burton.
Thank you, Michael Burton. Michael Burton may be making the catch of training camp today, but if that's the case, I'm going to give a second to Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams had his own little wheel route in a 7-on-7 drill. It was throwing pretty dang high, and Javonte Williams not only got up and corralled the ball, but came down not in the best position that you would like. I guess, not the most natural position in landing, and landed, turned, went upfield. It would have been a good 12 to 15 yard gain if it was a real play in real football. Just a fantastic play, and for him to be jumping, twirling, twisting, turning it upfield was fantastic to see. So hats off to Javonte. Maybe not be on that list of guys that completely look different compared to last year, but similarly, a guy that looks completely different compared to the injured Javonte Williams of last year, that's for sure.
Yep.
And then got the great Kenny coming in here saying, good evening, fellas. Great to see the three of you in action again tonight. Of course, we added Albert for tonight, but welcome back. And welcome back, Albert. Yeah, so there you go. So now I need to read the entire comment before I start commenting myself. So
I have one
welcome,
thing before
Kenny
you
Kirkpatrick. So
move on from Williams. If people didn't hear, it was reported that he had zero scarring on the inside from his surgery, and that's what almost a rarity, and that's what's made the healing process so fast. Props to him. They said that one of the reasons is all the work he put in.
fantastic. And it's amazing where these surgeries have progressed from. We talked a little bit last night about Willis McGahee because he did an MCL, PCL, ACL injury as well. That was like 20 years ago. It took him 18 months to get back onto the field. But we're also talking about the technology that repaired his knee is now 20 years old. And you think about what's capable. It's amazing that he came out with zero scarring. It's amazing what he's doing on the field already. It's fantastic, man. What a blessing in a way that we all thought that Samaje Perine and maybe somebody else would have to come in order to really, hold down the fort. And right as it looks right now, it looks like Javonte is going to be part of the stable that is the running back room come day one.
And I definitely. Oh, go ahead.
And I definitely believe that Javonte, he only gets 100%. You don't get less from him. Either he plays 100% or he doesn't play at all.
Agreed, man. He said, are you going to bring the same intensity as you had before when they asked him that question? He says, I don't know any other way. It's the way I play. So that's what we're going to expect. Got Adam and Kayla coming in here. Adam and Kaylee saying, sup, family. What's up with you, buddy? Good to see you. Also jumping in and saying, Sutton had a fantastic catch today. Or a very bad catch today. A bad donkey catch. No, but that being said, yeah, Sutton did have a good catch. A guy that really hasn't been, as we kind of alluded to earlier, Judy seems like he's the key target when it comes to Russell Wilson. Looks like he's the guy who's being eyed, especially in this fast-paced, quick read offense. Judy's number has been coming up more times than not, I would say that Patrick's probably coming in second, and Sutton's been coming in third. So for him to have a good catch today, kind of putting himself back on the map, I think is important. It's that's
And that
a
was
guy
first.
that needs to be a part of this offense if you want to function the way you want it to function, in my
That
opinion.
was first PS2 as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. But that being said, PS2 has been lights out in camp. I'll give you the receiver that I'm worried about. The receiver I'm most worried about, and Albert, I hate to tell you this, buddy, it's a guy that you expected a lot of things from. Dulcich hasn't been reeling in the catches like I expect him to. He's been struggling as of lately. Struggling to get separation, struggling to get his hands on the ball and keep a hold of it at times. Just needs to a guy that needs to kind of step up as the days of training camp wane on. So want him to shine. I think he's a big part of it. That being said, I think we saw Troutman get a little bit more action today, and he was looking pretty good. Manhurts that we haven't seen necessarily in the receiving portion of the game. Obviously, that's not necessarily what he was brought in for either. So wasn't a whole lot of expectation there. But did see
Sounds like
Troutman get a little bit more action today and looked pretty good. So
little Jordan Humphries.
just want to hit the one last one from Adam and Kayla, and he says, "I want Shelby Harris back. We'll see." What are your, Albert? You were missing. I'll go back around to Jody. What are your thoughts on Shelby Harris? Obviously, as Sean Payton said, he lives in Denver here with his family, so it was really easy to bring him in for a visit. He was in as of yesterday. Sean Payton said, "Yeah, basically said he's one of a few guys we want to take a look at, and maybe making an addition upon that defensive line." Shelby Harris, what are your thoughts?
He fits in neat.
Albert is the one I wanted to get to, and then I'll go to
sorry.
Jody. I'm sorry. Not to cut you off, Jody. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, can't hear you, buddy.
Oh, yeah, that little finger was blinking. Yeah, I have no problem with getting Shelby back. He used to be a really good playmaker for us, and his height and weight and aggressiveness, I think it would fit in. And he is a little bit familiar with the system that Fangio and fans have, so he would be a fit, and he could probably play right away.
Agreed. I think he would have the opportunity to get in there and get in the mix right away. Jody, your thoughts on Shelby Harris returning to the Denver Broncos?
He definitely feels the need. I guess for me, the one thing would be with Purcell being on the non-contact injury list. They need someone that can really play in the middle. Who, if you move DJ back inside, back in at the nose, who backs him up? Shelby's not playing in there, so I can see them maybe looking at different. There's some bigger body like a Linval Joseph or somebody like that.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting today. Sean Payton reiterated the fact that the coaches need to keep in mind that, and the players need to keep in mind that they're not competing against the guys in their own room. They're competing against the guys in 32 rooms. Cuts are going to come down. We're at 90 plus guys. We've got to get to 53. The cuts are going to come down. Those coaches are looking at every single room and saying, if that guy gets cut, do we need to add him? If that guy gets cut, do we want to add him? So, is he better than the guy that we have on our roster that we think is borderline? These guys have a lot of competition. It's just not within those interior walls at Dove Valley. So it'll be interesting to see. Shelby Harris, I'll give him this. As much as he was outspoken in him leaving Denver, in the way that he left Denver, in the way that he even spoke out on Monday night, given all of the national country a let's ride as he walked off as a Seattle Seahawk as a win. He walked back into Dove Valley. He walked back in. saw a lot of players that he used to play with and said that about. So just in doing that, he's made the step. He's made the right step, and if he's willing to make that step, maybe it's the right step to bring him back in the fold and and be a part of this Broncos defense. He was formidable at one time for this team. We signed him to a fairly large contract because of what he was able to do. If he can put that back on the field, and like I said, he manned up. He walked back into Dove Valley, and that means a lot to me, man. It's another thing. It's one thing for us all to speculate. Hey, let's just bring back Shelby Harris. There was a lot of stuff under that bridge that needed to be crossed, and I think he did a lot for that. So, getting to Kenny real quick, he says, "Is KJ Hamler practicing?" A second part of the question: do you think maybe Broncos use him as a punt returner? Interesting question. Of all the receivers I've seen, I haven't even paid attention to see what KJ Hamler's been doing. He certainly hasn't been hauling in any passes. Say again?
He's on PUP, right?
Is he on PUP? I was going to say, I didn't even notice him out there. He's on PUP. Okay, very good. That's right. I forgot. He was that late addition to PUP. So no KJ Hamler, Kenny. Do you want to know who my surprise... Guess who the surprise punt returner was? And I'll even give you a hint. It was a rookie.
Not Kendall Hinton.
Not Kendall Hinton.
I heard he's been struggling back there.
Yep. No, in the rotation of punt returners, we had a rookie punt returner.
Mims.
Mims was one of them, but there was a second. Mr. JL Skinner was back fielding a punt for a couple punts. So put that in your cap, man. I looked it up. He ran a 4.58. Interesting that he was back there in the rotation. But there he was, guys. So you never know. These guys are this is what I like about our coaches and Sean Payton and what he's telling our coaches. I literally think he's saying, we're exhausting all options. We're looking at every option. We're not just saying, hey, this guy's pigeonholed here. If you can show that you have the ability, you might just be out there, man. So it was interesting to see, but yeah, JL Skinner back there fielding punt returns. So
here's my question. This is what I asked on Tuesday. How are the coaches with the players?
Coaches are consistently in the ear with players. You get to see a lot of the. Albert, you were missing, but they've changed the layout at training camp. It used to be that all the fields ran. You sat behind the goalpost and they ran away from you. Now they switched them so they're running left and right. And a lot of what they're doing, almost my entire day was like this. Through a set of binoculars, because everything is happening over there on that second field over there. And I think they're trying to keep eyes away from what's happening on that second field over there. Remind me your question again, because now I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole.
Now, how are the coaches interacting with the players?
Oh, very good. Yeah, so you get to see a lot of that individual coaching, and some of the 11 on 11 happens in front of you. But like I said, constantly in the air. This is one thing, and I got to look up the coach. There was probably a 20-minute conversation between Sean Payton and another coach today. I sat there watching in my binoculars and watching passes while I was watching Russell Wilson on 7-7 drills at the same time. But it just goes to the point. I mean, he had a point that he needed to get across to that coach. And they had a very long conversation about it. And it happened right on the field. And I just love the fact that, hey, if there's something that needs to be addressed, it's going to be addressed. So the coaches are good. I was also telling Jody last night, the thing I hear all the time, okay, let's go. Hurry up. These guys do not get breaks. They're expected to run. They're expected to get in and out of the huddle. They're expected to be on the field. They're expected to, when the horn goes, you're running to your next drill. It's consistent, man, and there's a pace. And that's why we spoke a little bit about it before we got on the show, guys. But I was there listening to 104.3 The Fan after training camp, and they're saying, I don't notice any difference between Hackett's training camp and Sean Payton's training camp. I don't know if they're turned around backwards. I don't know if they're staring off at the beautiful clouds that are streaking across the sky. They're not watching training camp. If that's the case, there's a complete difference from what I see one year to the next.
I'm glad to see that.
It's been good, bud. It's been good. Um, Getting a few more comments just caught up. Eddie's coming in saying 13 days until first preseason game. Wow. And 43 days until the first season game. So ready. This is crazy, but my prediction for the Broncos season is 12-5. We haven't talked about predictions in a while, guys. Have you had any waivers on your predictions or anything you want to throw out there? Do you think you want to agree with Eddie here at 12-5?
I stick with my 12-5.
Very good, man. Got it.
That's what we had in one of the previous podcasts.
Yep.
10-7 is easily doable. Even if Russ was the same as last year, but now we have a coach that is ready for 5 wins. There you have your 10-7. If they are slightly better, 11-6. Halfway better, 12-5.
There you go, Jody. Your thoughts? Is Eddie off base with a 12-5 prediction here?
No, I really haven't wavered off my prediction. One prediction that I have is Javonte Williams. I thought he was going to get eased slowly into the first week of the season, be on a light pitch count, and the way things are going, I can see that getting ramped up. The 7 to 10 carries, I said I can see 10 to 15 or something like that. I mean, from all reports, I mean, if he's already cleared for contact and we're 4 days into camp, there's no reason I don't see him. I still think he'll be on a snap count, but the 7 to 10, I think it's going to be much more.
Yeah, guys. I can't blame you one bit, Jody. I mean, I don't think anybody saw this coming. Nobody saw it coming. There was more naysayers about him being back this year than there were people saying that there was a good possibility that he could be in this year and be productive. So don't blame you one bit for having to walk back on that prediction a little bit. So I'm kind of right in there, almost with Michael Ronquillo joining in and with his prediction saying 10 wins, 7 losses in his first year to Sean Payton. I know it wasn't my official prediction because I got all excited during our prediction show and our schedule release show, breaking down wins and losses. But my original prediction was 9, 7, and 1, getting us into the playoffs with a tie. That actually kind of helps us out when you're sitting about 9 and 7. So I think to double up the amount of wins that we had last year is something that is attainable. It gets us into the playoffs and is like I said, attainable and realistic. So right in that 9 to 10 wins is, I think, where we'll end up if I just had to go off the cuff. I'm not James Marilat. I'm not going to go off of one day seeing training camp and saying 12-5. There's still a lot of days to be stacked, so we'll have to see exactly if I get all the way up to 12-5. I'm not going to do it off of one day. I'm not James Marilat. I'm not going to just get the clickbait, as we may say over here on the Denver Bronco Roundup. So, gentlemen,
I'm with you. Like you said, stacking days and seeing improvement. I didn't expect to see A+ Russ. This is a whole new system, something he's never ran before. And if we're already I heard grades of anywhere from B to B+ today. Just sounded like the first day was spot on. Yesterday a little off, but I mean, if he continues to improve, that's really what I want to see and
Albert?
hear.
Yeah, and from article that I read today, his first read is Jerry Judy, and I think they're gonna focus him on the short routes, the slants, and that stuff. And if Judy is not available, then it is Tim Patrick. And so it is very exciting to see that Russ is going quickly from 1 to 2. Last year it was, oh, we had one play in mind. Oh, that is what we're going to hold. Oh, it doesn't work, so we start running. And from today, from what I heard, it was not the case. Oh, they're not available. Boom, to the next one.
Yep. Yeah, much more decisive. I, as much flack as Garrett Bowles is maybe getting that possible sack from Nik Bonitto. Offense, and I just want to say this in general. We keep saying, how has Russ looked? Are we going to grade Russ? How was his performance on day two? Media outlets already putting stuff like that out there. Already talked about, again, yesterday, two tackles missing, main two tackles missing. Greg Dulcich not necessarily playing up to what we expect him to be playing at. It's a team effort. If Dulcich isn't open, but he's the one or the two read, and he's struggling right now in training camp, that's tough, especially when the tackles are maybe struggling against maybe the best pass rush duo out there in Randy Gregory and Frank Clark that you can put together. It takes more than just Russell Wilson to stack days. All these guys need to stack their days if we want to quote unquote give grades.
And the
Yeah,
defense always has an
I
advantage.
would give the team, maybe the offensive team, a grade of a B. I just can't put it all on Russ.
And here's the thing: this offensive line has not played one game together.
It's
Even
correct.
even with Bowles, Minus, and Cushenberry, they have played only 2 games together.
Wow.
Because Minus was the first 2 games was out, not
Mm-hmm.
playing, and in the fourth game, in the same game as with Pookie, Bowles broke the leg.
Yep.
So they have not played together at all. So I don't blame the O-line at the moment.
No, it's stacking days. I just wanted to point out the fact that all these people that are maybe, you know, um, grading Russ, critiquing Russ, judging Russ, put all the factors together. It's just not a Russ. It's just not Russ that's going to make this offense go. It's got to be all 11. So, well,
And take
gentlemen,
take into
I teased it.
consideration,
Was that?
in the D always has the advantage of the first handful of practices. I mean, they're not. I mean, it's more instinctive. You're not learning new things, so the D always has the advantage. So, I mean, it's expected to see that.
Yeah, I figured it was a good opportunity to bring up Eddie's comment saying defense always has a leg up on the offense starting training camp. Offense just needs to knock off that rust and need to get time to get. They will be fine. Um, well, gentlemen, like I said, I want to wrap up the show a little bit. We're about 45 minutes. I did tease a little bit of DAMARRI MATHIS. So, as you guys know, at the end of training camp, may or may not know, y'all get an opportunity to, AKA, get some autographs. And, I always like to talk to the players, ask the players some questions if I get an opportunity. And DAMARRI MATHIS came along, and it's something we talked about. And I just told him straight out. I said, hey, man, I'm expecting big things from you this year, man. I've been watching. I'm expecting big things. You want to hear his reply? His
Hmm.
reply was, "You can expect the big things, and you're going to get big things."
That's
That's
what I
good.
love to hear.
Wow, what a comment, huh? I love the confidence, man, and man, it's giving me some. I think the hair standing up on the back of my neck right now, just repeating that right now. It was a fantastic comment and got me excited for what we've already been seeing in the secondary. We've already talked about it this show. DAMARRI Mathis is in 100% agreement. I think it's going to be a big show in that secondary this year.
But you missed the opportunity to invite him to our show.
I did. I felt a little out of place. By the way, just come over and join us. We can talk about it a little bit more. I know Sean Payton has you on lockdown, but it's just the Denver Bronco Roundup. You can let it out.
It's just one time.
No, it was good. It was good to hear that. It was good to hear such a great reaction from a player. It's really easy for them to give you a thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah. Appreciate your support. You get a lot of the stuff like that. For him to come back and say you can expect big things and you're gonna get big things. Thank you, DAMARRI Mathis. I'm watching you some more, buddy. So, all right, guys. We'll get around some final thoughts just to keep you all up to speed. Of course, training camp is taking a little hiatus tomorrow. Get the day off. They'll return on Monday in full pads. So we'll be also taking that hiatus. You won't see us tomorrow. Expect to see 1, 2, 3 of us back on Monday, but we'll be here for you. So
Tuesday.
go backwards around the horn this time, Albert. You get to pause. Jody, final thoughts. What you got for us, buddy?
My final thoughts are: you hear a lot of people say, "What if Russ doesn't return to form? What does Denver do? What if Russ does return to form? What happens and what does Denver do?" No one asks that question. No one wants to go down only one side of the rabbit hole. What if he does return back to form? And what happens?
I love it, buddy, man. We're always, as a society, unfortunately, we tend to lean towards the negative, right?
Yep.
What if this doesn't happen? Well, what if it does? Then what you gonna do? How about them apples? Love it, buddy. Keep stacking days. We'll keep recording.
Stacking days.
Albert?
I think that Russell Wilson is already back in his older self. Last year at training camp, he missed a lot of passes, and a pass got deflected from him. Guess what? It is a number 1 corner. If you do not get a pass deflected by a PS2, I don't know which quarterback can do that. So I'm really excited about a new season. We see a total new Russell Wilson, hopefully for Super Bowl 48 again.
Love it, buddy. Love it. Guys, I'm going to continue down here. Like I said, I'm down here. I'll be all the way through Thursday. So I'm going to try to get as much reported for you as possible. I'm doing this for you guys. Only reason I'm here, only reason I took this trip was to come down here, see training camp, report on training camp, and hey, maybe, just maybe, we did it last year, round up a little giveaway item while I'm down here. So it's all for you guys, and I appreciate you guys a ton. Final thoughts from Michael Ronquillo. Broncos football is back. Go Broncos. Love it, Michael. Thank you so much. Appreciate you jumping in here. One of my final thoughts, and just to give it its full essence, I'm going to jump us out of the stream for just a second. I want to show everybody a photo, and I don't know how it's going to load up here. I might have to jump you guys out. Sharing a little photo from training camp today. A few guys we all love, a few guys we talked about, a couple of guys we maybe talked about earlier in the show. Here's our little image over here. Justin Simmons, PS2, and as you can maybe tell in the background, we have a little Caden Stearns action over here. This was a little bit later in the day. There was a couple of images I snapped of this, but PS2 was going over maybe some coverages, and Patrick Simmons is kind of looking over at him at this point going, this guy, what is he talking about? So it was a good interaction. It was kind of fun, and it was just good to see these guys out there. So there's Justin Simmons, PS2, and a little bit of Caden Stearns hanging out there in the background. Just want to share a little image for you guys all, and I'll try to bring a little bit of that. Follow the Denver Bronco Roundup. If you're doing that over on Facebook, we post up images over there, and have a few different images that have hit that page. So check that out. Before I get out of here, I got to tell you that we're brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Check out the Rocky Mountain Sports Network for all your Colorado sports needs, whether it be your Broncos, your Nuggets, your Avalanche, or your Colorado Rockies. And also, we're brought to you by Willow Seasonings and Blends. Head on over to Willow Seasonings and Blends. They're our sponsor. They do fantastic spices and sauces, rubs, as some of you may know those spices as. I just wanted to jump this up here because this is a current promo code that you'll want to use, guys. DBR 2023. If you head over to willowseasonings.com, that's DBR, stands for Denver Bronco Roundup 2023. That'll get you 15% off. Also helps out a family in need over at Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Guys, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Appreciate you, Albert. Appreciate you, Jody. Appreciate everyone who joined us in the comments this evening. So we had a ton, guys. David Slade, who jumped in really early. Michael Ronquillo, Edward Keating. We had Kenya from the fantastic K&K Sports Show. Check those guys out. Jody knows all about that. Got some fantastic sports going on over there, whether it be Major League Baseball or football, or they're great into basketball as well, but they cover it coast to coast. So check out the K&K Sports Show. Of course, we had Adam and Kayla in here as well. And to all those that I'm not getting to, appreciate you guys a ton. We'll be back on Monday, rounding it all up again. Till then, we're going to get out of here. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.